What's up, friends? Welcome to Studio Wesley Live, our weekly hangout for community connection. I'm Derek Scott the third, and I'm super stoked for tonight's episode. It is going to be so great. I am so excited. So I got great friends here on the panel, and I just want to know, just to get us started, tell us hey, and then tell us one good thing that happened this weekend, and maybe it's going to happen because there's still like a few more hours left in the weekend. So Grace, how you doing? What a good thing that happened this weekend?
Hi. I'm all right. I'm really happy to be back. I missed y'all. It's been what, like 2 weeks?
I
I
think
miss you
so.
guys. Um, and Derek, the way that you framed it, I feel like I already know what yours is gonna be, and I won't spoil it. I'll let you say it, but I will type it in the chat
Okay.
between us, and we'll see if I'm
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
But one good thing that happened this weekend was I got a really cute pair of sunglasses, and then they broke. I bought them. Granted, I got them at the TJ Maxx, but they were perfect. They're kind of like they're like trendy. They're kind of like oval, but they have like a little bit of like a bend to them. And I like dramatically took them off last night because we were hanging out with a friend for his birthday, and they broke like at the like bridge. The metal part just like broke, and I was like, oh, well then. So that was something good that happened this weekend. And I was still with good friends. Like it was okay. It worked out.
That's
But
good. We can honor the fact that it happened, and don't be sad that it ended. Be happy that it happened. I think it's the quote. Yes. So solid. Oh, great. So glad you're here, Neil. Gosh, I love Neil so much. Neil, how you doing?
Hello. I am doing good. And, you know, real quick, Derek, because you're saying there's a few hours left in the weekend. As you know, from having been a bartender before, and the way my schedule is, my weekend is actually Monday, Tuesday. So my weekend, I've got a few more hours until my weekend.
Come through.
So there's that. And one good thing that happened. Well, we had a pretty solid week at Manifest. A few events happening, and I have, I think, officially completed 2 new recipes for cocktails for our spring menu. So that's really exciting. I still have 3 more to start and finish, and I have about a week or so to do that. But the first 2, the hard ones are done, and the other ones will probably be pretty easy. So that was exciting. Yeah, people were just very nice. Oh, and I got to work with my friend Caitlin, who normally works at the sidecar in San Marco, but James, my manager, was off working the players, so I had to ask for some help, and they did amazingly. So yeah,
Wow.
Sounds like great stuff.
Way cool, Neil. So glad you're here. Taylor, how are you? What a good thing that happened this weekend.
I am doing well. Like Grace, I'm excited to be back. It's been a bit. But one good thing that happened this weekend, yesterday, well, 2 good things happened. Yesterday I was invited to a bridal shower for one of my friends that I graduated. Well, she graduated after me, but we were in the same like major, same like at UNF. So I was excited to be invited to that. So that's cool. It was like pie soup because it was like pie day yesterday. So yeah, very cute. And then I got to hang out with a good friend of mine last night, also from UNF. We graduated the same year, different majors, but like we were friends. So it was nice to hang out with her. She came to Jacksonville for like
Awesome.
it was cute. Fun.
Taylor, so glad you're here with us. I love it. Love it. Okay, so here's the deal. Hey, Grace, you're close. It's not. It isn't it. I appreciate you know things about me, Grace. You are a great friend, and thank you, Ashrith. Thanks for acknowledging.
Ashrith knows too. Ashrith knows.
Yeah. So some think that the thing that I'm looking forward to, that would be the good thing this weekend, is Sinners just crushing the Oscars. And yes, that is a good thing. It is not the good thing I was going to share, but it is a good thing that I am looking forward to. The crazy part is I won't be watching the Oscars, so because that's just not something that I do. I don't watch the shows. But so here's my good thing this weekend. And we're going to go right into the highlights of the week. I went to, so we have in United Methodism here in Florida, we have many different people groups, ethnic groups that are part of Florida. And one of them are the Haitians, immigrants from the island of Haiti. And this weekend they had the Haitian convocation, Florida United Methodist Haitian convocation, which for the most part was in Haitian Creole. And it was really just centering their culture, their story, their resilience, and their faith. And y'all, it was everything for me. It was everything. Like I feel like there is Derek before the Haitian convocation, and there's Derek after the Haitian convocation. And Derek after the Haitian convocation is just like, I understand the assignment. Like, I know what I'm doing here. And it was just so beautiful. And like, I just had such a great time with them, and particularly because it was so much of it was in Haitian Creole, which I don't know Haitian Creole. I think that my family origin may like somehow go back through there at some point, but not direct connections or anything like that. We've been in Florida for several generations, but gosh, it just was such a good time for me, and it really was like the highlight of my weekend. But I've shared that. I've got other things to share. We've all got other things to share. So let's get ready for our regular recurring segment. Regular recurring segment, highlight of the week. Let's go. Highlight of the week is our regular segment where we each share something that happened in the world, anywhere from our neighborhoods all the way to the nations. Sometimes we got lowlights, but I think all this week's contributions are highlights this week, I think. But we want the Studio Wesley universe to know about these things, and so we share them for sure. So let's start with you, Grace. What is your highlight for this week?
Okay, so because I've been gone, I couldn't give y'all this highlight when like it was actually like this would have been last week's highlight. But the thing is that it's actually better for me that it's this week's highlight, because my highlight is that Harry Styles has a new album. Yeah. And like, yes! No, Mike, you understand. Harry Styles' new album out. Woohoo! And so, yay! I grew up with One Direction, and I love them. I have them tattooed on me. Like, I love them so much. And it's been really beautiful to see each of them, like, and how they come out with their own music over time and all of the, like, developments of that. And Harry Styles especially is somebody that, like, I think he does it well, where he comes out with music and then he just disappears seemingly off the face of the planet for at least a year or two. And then you see him and he's, like, somewhere where there's, like, some random recording studio in another country. And he's just doing great. And then he's, like, in a marathon, or he's, like, cycling, or he's, like, shows up doing a bunch of these side quests. This album, it took me a while to get, like, into it, which is why I'm glad that it's this week's highlight instead of last week's highlight, because I would have had different thoughts last week. But I love it. It's very, like, and I need special microphone stuff again. It's very, like, are you going to confront the things about your life that you've been avoiding? I know you've been avoiding them. Are you going to confront yourself and love yourself for once? But we could also have a fun time while we do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is 26 to 28-year-old energy right there. I'm just going to say.
Well, and he's older than that, but it is definitely 26 to 28-year-old energy.
Yes.
It's like it came out at the time where I feel my frontal lobe like fully like solidifying.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't like this.
I know.
And like I do. So highlights of the album for me are definitely Dance No More. I grew up on disco, and that's the closest to like a disco-y kind of vibe that I can think of. But Dance No More, Season 2 Weight Loss, which is a wild title for a song, but I can explain more later, because it's not at all about like losing like physical weight. It's like losing like the weight of like the burdens that you carry. Anyway, so Dance No More, Season 2 Weight Loss, pop. But the one that's been in my head the most is Are You Listening Yet? It's a great one. Like, if you feel like crashing out, Are You Listening Yet is a good one. So
wow.
Love y'all. Love you,
Grace. I cannot commit that I will listen to Harry's new album.
Derek promises to listen to Harry Styles' new album. Disco all the time. Kiss all the time. Disco occasionally.
I'll just say I'm intrigued because of his work last night on SNL that I also don't
Yes.
watch. I don't watch SNL, but I am non-committal Terry Styles, but I'm intrigued because of what he did on SNL last night. So I'm just saying it's a little closer. I mean, yes, it's still non-committal, but it's more. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to go there. So anyway, Grace, thank you for your great highlight. So good. Neil, what's your highlight this week?
I part of me is not sure if I would consider this a highlight, but it's a thing I wanted to talk about. It's not a low light either necessarily. But you know, St. Patrick's Day is on Tuesday, and me and a lot of my other friends who are, you know, big fans of the show Dairy Girls, we just love doing like really bad Northern Irish accents to each other about it. You know, it's like on the eve of my ancestors' holiday, and we just do that like to each other like all the time now. And you know, it was pretty funny. Last night I had a special this is taking a while. Horror Film Festival had an after party at Manifest last night, and they wanted a red drink. So I made this blackberry syrup, and I wrote on the bottle, instead of blackberry, I wrote Catholic blood. Because that, you know, that felt like that felt good, you know, because I could have just wrote blood, but I was like, nah, man, I need to see United Ireland. Anyways, so but St. Patty's Day is Tuesday. And for those who have worked in the service industry, know that St. Patrick's Day for bars and restaurants, but particularly bars, tends to be their version of the Super Bowl. Now, I'm very fortunate that my bar is not going to be open Tuesday. And even when, you know, so like, but anywhere that will have Irish whiskey or Guinness, or any sort of Irish pub, or anything that looks even remotely like that, or anywhere that just serves booze, to be perfectly honest, St. Patrick's Day is a day that a lot of people who probably aren't even really all that Irish, is a day that they use to go out and get hammered, and be nuisances, because some people have very boring lives and don't have enough fun, so they need a holiday to give themselves the excuse. And folks in the service industry will be working like 12, 16-hour shifts, and, you know, will be put through absolute hell. So if you know a bartender who is working, you know, tell them you're thinking about them. Send them a gift. Shoot up a prayer for them. Someone has to be listening. So yeah, just keep some of your service industry friends in mind on Tuesday. It's going to be a long day for them. I'm staying home.
Neil, now correct me if I'm wrong, Neil. You are half Irish, right?
Yeah, on my dad's side.
Yeah. So does St. Patrick's Day hit you in any kind of way? Like, I've got other friends who are Irish. They're from Northern Ireland, and so they've got a specific sort of angle to it as well. But does it affect you or hit you in a specific way?
I mean, sometimes when I've looked into like the actual like history of like St. Patrick, so on my dad's side of the family, it's like that my family began in Scotland, and then there is a part of the history where they're like, and some of them immigrated to Northern Ireland around this time, and there wasn't anything else said about it. And I'm like, oh, that's because they were used as like settlers to basically just put Protestants in into the northern part of Ireland, you know, for that whole thing. But you know, like I began to learn like more things about St. Patrick, because everyone says, oh, he drove the snakes out of Ireland. It's like, there have never been snakes in Ireland. So it's like, so it's like, you know, what is that? And I've seen people say things like, oh, it actually wasn't snakes, it was pagans. Like, you know, like, so St. Patrick actually had more of a hand to do in the persecution of pagans. And that's when you see a lot of like St. Bridget, who, you know, I've got on my wee necklace here. She previously was actually a Celtic goddess who became canonized as a saint, so that way people could still technically worship her and pray to her. Because the real saint, where she was, happened to die on the same feast day as the goddess. So some people are like, are they the same? Probably. If you ask a Catholic, they're like, no, not the same. If you ask anyone who's not, it's like, they're the same. Because that's technically how the religion of Santeria came about. It was, when slaves were brought over to like Cuba, they had like their, like old gods, like Ogun and stuff. And when, the Catholics like took them over, they were like, oh, no. These are like our saints. So they're like, oh, all right, sweet. Yeah, great. And that's kind of like how Santeria is like this blend of like Catholicism and old African religion. So all that off of St. Patrick.
Wow. Thanks for that highlight, Neil. So good. And we are thinking about our friends in the service industry, particularly on Tuesday. Good thing that St. Patrick's Day is on Tuesday and not Friday, because then it could get really wild. So, Taylor, what's your highlight this week?
Yes. My highlight this week is based on the Paralympics. So it's Paralympics. They just ended, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken. But my highlight is focused on like the sport of like alpine skiing, and like I saw an article about like a visually impaired person just like telling their experience in the Paralympics. So like I wish like the Paralympics were on like actual TV instead of like how like the Olympics are like actual TV. Everybody can watch them. I don't have the time or the funds to watch them on something else, so I didn't get to watch them as much as I did. I had to like, scroll through Facebook. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like where am I getting at? The athletes experience just about being guided by their sibling in the Paralympics. So yeah, I just love the Paralympics and then like showcasing people with different abilities. So yeah.
Taylor, I love this highlight, and I love that you brought it to us. I wish that the Paralympics had a little more fanfare and coverage, and that's a work that we have to do as a society. But I'm so glad that the event happens. I'm so glad that it's a thing, and that I'm so grateful that you brought it. Is there a particular Paralympic sport that you appreciate, Taylor? Like, is there a particular one you're like, I want to see every single match of this particular sport during the Paralympics?
That's a good question, because the regular I think I could like see it in the Paralympics as a whole, no matter the sport. Like the Olympics, I'm very like specific on what I like to watch, but I guess like the whole thing of the Paralympics, because like it shows like that people with different abilities can do stuff that regular Olympians can. They're just a little bit different, but they can excel in any sport.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Taylor, thank you for that highlight. So good. Friends, the highlight that I'm bringing this week is about a movie that I want to make sure you've got on your radar. And that's usually what I'm trying to do. I really like movies. I don't know if y'all figure that out. I really like movies. And I like movies and I like series and things like that. But this movie I think is really, really important, and I want to make sure everybody's got it on their radar. Coming out May 22nd, The Mandalorian and Grogu will be hitting theaters. I hope that I get to see it on the 21st, because usually they come out on the Thursday before the Friday. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But yes, y'all, I am so looking forward to The Mandalorian and Grogu. For a lot of reasons. I'm definitely in the Star Wars universe. I'm here for it. I'm excited about another film. And there's a spoiler that's like gone out there, and like everybody knows that essentially Din Djarin is gonna take off his helmet during the movie. Like it's everywhere. Everybody knows we don't know why. We don't know why he's going to do it, but Mando is going to take his helmet off. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'm also I love Grogu. And I think it's something about like next generation kind of thing. Like, just like being like Mando is like really like taking Grogu under his like arms and literally like he has him in his arms, right? Like, you're right. Like, and like, sort of training them, but like keeping them safe, but also like taking them on adventures. And so I'm just looking forward to this movie. And I just think that everyone in the Studio Wesley universe should have this movie on their radar. I don't feel the same way about it that I feel about Sinners. Sinners is like a cultural artifact that we all need to recognize how blessed we are to be alive when it came out. Mando and Grogu is like, you know what? The world is rough. Let's have a moment where we know there's going to be a good ending. But the ending will be the ending. It's going to lead to something else. And I actually think the movie's going to lead to season 4 of the series. Nobody has said that. Nobody's written that. That's Derek being Derek, thinking that he knows what's going to happen next. So we can take that or leave that. But yes, was there a bottom third for my highlight? I didn't even see one. Like, was there one? Ah, got it. That's what it was. Thank you, Mike. You're on it. Pedro Pascal, who is the person who plays Mando, or Din Djarin. Is that how you say it?
Djarin.
Din Djarin. Thank you. I don't get the names right, y'all. Like, because I actually don't like. I care about the names, but not that much. Like, if they wanted me to get the names right, they would have like spelled them in a way that like I could easily get them right. I just know them as like great people. We're doing great stuff, and I love it. Yeah. All right. So yeah, he's gonna take his helmet off. It's gonna be great. It's gonna make sense. Okay. That's my highlight for this week. Thanks, friends, for all those highlights. We're now going to, well, I guess we need to do some announcements. We need to do some. So the only announcement I think we've got is that we are having community group tonight. I'm going to be hanging out. Allison's going to be hanging out, so it's going to be good. I'm going to talk a little bit about David out of 1 Samuel 1 Samuel 16, sorry. I'm excited to talk about David a little bit. So we'd love for you to join us around 6:45. We'll be in a Zoom room. If you'd like the link, just message me or message us on Studio Wesley's Instagram account. We'd love to invite you in that space. So with that, we are now. Do we have other announcements? I don't think we have other announcements. Hey, Allison, we see that you're in the audience. It's good to see you. You're a rock star. We appreciate you. I don't think we have any other announcements though. So I think it's time to now go into words from the world. Words from the World is one of our segments that we bring every few weeks, and it's just a conversation about things happening in the world and a discussion we might want to have. So this week, Grace is bringing leading our conversation, and so Grace, I'm just going to let you have the mic. Go for it.
Hi. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting conversation. This is going to be really interesting because I think that the four of us are on maybe not like opposite ends, but very differing ends of this conversation. And I'm going to say some things, and I'm going to try to be very like kind and respectful to all of our opinions. And if I say something that hurts someone's feelings, let me know. I have strong opinions about this. That's my preface. And I know that we're live. I know this is going on the internet. And my opinions can change all the time because I'm human. That being said, we're talking about AI. We're talking about AI. So I was on New York Times, and I was just kind of like looking through because when I got the Words from the World assignment, I was like, well, what can I talk about that's like relevant, that is like kind of like thought-provoking, that we might like disagree on, but like could like have a good conversation. And then I saw this article on New York Times where the author Julia Angwin was... Okay, I'm just going to start with like a little snippet from it. A few days ago, an awkward sentence written by the editing service Grammarly flashed across my screen. The writing was clunky, the point weirdly unspecific. Grammarly had been offering paying users editing suggestions, supposedly from a handful of writers, including me. So essentially, this article goes to talk about how Grammarly, like, I'll say like synthesizes or like pulls like writing from certain people who utilize its services, or maybe from like other people too. There was a lot of information in the article, so I could get a couple things wrong. That's also another important preface. But basically, Grammarly was using non-consenting or like non like officially consenting people's which murky consent is not consent anyway, but was using people's writing to like pretend that it was those people who were offering suggestions. And so it gets into a bigger conversation about like what is someone's likeness, what is not someone's likeness. It gets into certain like privacy laws in different states. And so the author Julia actually ended up like working with some legal spaces, I believe, to work on laws or to further strengthen laws that like maybe didn't have anything AI within them or any like AI components within them in terms of like, hey, like this space on the internet is not allowed to use your likeness, and now this AI space is also not allowed to use your likeness. So kind of developing laws and like structures around this. And I know that like for me, I for the most part am a staunchly like anti generative AI type of person. But even like before the recording started, the four of us were talking about how like when we use the term AI, there's a lot of different things that includes. But now in like 2026, we end up like using the term AI to mean a lot of things, or to mean like one specific thing when there's actually a lot of different forms of AI. So I have a lot of thoughts about it. I end up using AI for one specific thing, or like the more like modernized like 2026 2025 thought of AI. I use it for one thing, and I don't use it very much, but I have an e-reader software through my accommodations that I have such a hard time physically like visually reading, and then with audio I have a really hard time processing it because I can tell that it's a fake voice no matter what. And so the only way that I can listen to audio is with the AI clone of my voice. And even when I recorded it, I was like, this sounds kind of risky. Like I don't know if I want to I don't know if I want to like give AI or give these like this database my voice, because what am I consenting to in like all of the little teeny tiny like terms and conditions? What can they use my voice for now? So there's a lot of thoughts around like AI. I know that all of us have different thoughts. I'm very anti like chat GPT, that type of software, thinking about like the resources that it uses, thinking about like how hard it is for the folks who live near the AI data centers. They have like zero water pressure and it's all like super nasty water there because it sucks up all the resources. I'm thinking about how it like, and this is also something that the article discusses, is how AI tends to pull a lot of information without like the way that it thinks, and I'm using that with like the biggest quotes ever, the way that it thinks, it doesn't necessarily have the skills, or like certain AI softwares don't have the skills to think about or to like categorize like, oh well, this is a peer-reviewed article and this is what someone commented on Facebook. It doesn't always know, or certain ones don't always know how to like allocate proper like regard to one thing more than the other. And so there's a whole bunch here. There's a whole bunch of different like ethical conundrums that we have in terms of like, is AI allowed to use my words or my likeness or pretend to be me? Because that's a huge deal, like pretending to be someone or claiming that somebody is willing, like that somebody, a physical human, is giving these suggestions, and if they're not good suggestions, which is what this Grammarly AI was doing, that's really embarrassing and upsetting for the person that it's pretending to be. So we have that, we have resource usage, and we have just like inaccuracy. So I would love to hear y'all's thoughts. Derek, I know you have a lot of things to say, but I would love to hear maybe Neil and Taylor first.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go. I had to pull it up because yesterday I reposted this quote from David Byrne, formerly of the Talking Heads, on my story, and he made a comment about AI, and it's really interesting to see like older musicians talk about it, because some are very pro AI, right, and some are like very anti. At least in terms of what we're talking about as like this generative thing like ChatGPT and, Grok and all these other things. But David Byrne's quote is as follows: AI is basically sucking up all human knowledge and throwing it back at us and charging a price. And when you think about it, that is kind of like what is going on with these things, And one thing we were kind of talking about, like as we were, just sort of hanging out before the live, is like there are so many things. Brace mentioned this. There's so many things that are artificial intelligence that aren't this big sort of like generative, like resource, like draining thing that a lot of these technocrats have been investing their billions of dollars into. Everything from your algorithm of, hey, you like this cat video. Would you like to see more cat videos? I would like to see more cat videos. And I was mentioning how there's like music programs that are AI. There's one that's really cool. And I was watching this video about it where this guy was able to use an AI program, he's a music producer, to go back into like old and new songs. And the program somehow manages to extract all of the different tracks. So it's like it'll isolate the vocals, it'll isolate the guitars and, the drums. And it actually does a pretty good job. In that same video, he was also talking about how Spotify has been putting out entirely AI bands and like bumping up their numbers. So he's like, here's how I'm going to test as to whether or not this band is AI or not, even though it very much looks like an AI picture and the songs sound decent but very generic. He tried to put the AI band song into this same AI algorithm, which worked for Led Zeppelin. It worked for Sabrina Carpenter. It did pretty well. And this AI band song completely glitched the system out. Like it couldn't separate anything. Like everything sounded weird, staticky, distorted. So it's like, there are good sides to AI. It's like, oh, this is a cool thing for like music purposes. Technically, Paul McCartney and Ringo used AI to do basically the same thing with that Beatles song that they released a couple of years ago, because they went back into like an old recording that they had done with like when John was alive and when George was alive. And they used this AI program to basically clean up John's vocals because it was like a very rough demo. That was AI. A lot of people talked about that. Hey guys, the Beatles are back and they're using AI. Like, it's a big thing. But yeah, this sort of like generative learning thing where we're watching like kids use it for homework when they should be using some of their own critical thinking skills. We're watching adults who, as we were growing up, told us, hey, don't believe everything you read on the internet. And now adults are believing everything they read on the internet. You know what I mean? So I sit here sometimes and I'm like, listen, I don't know who like this generative AI and like even my old, like Grace, like our old job, our old restaurant is using a bunch of AI posts and like pictures like for their Facebook stuff now. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what is going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a strange thing. It's a strange thing. And I think we were all hoping that AI would be a little bit more like the Jetsons. And it's ending up a little bit more like the Terminator franchise and 2001 Space Odyssey. So hopefully we'll get there.
Neil, thanks for that. Taylor, thoughts?
Okay. So, yeah. I see like AI being used a lot more now. Like, I agree with a lot of those points, but like I see that AI is being used a lot more now. Like definitely in school where teachers are like letting students use AI. And I'm like, why? They have a brain. Yes, like we went through COVID and stuff, but like, well, these kids are like in elementary school, and we said they have a brain, they can develop their brain, they can read a textbook. Like, let them use their brain and not use AI where they're not going to learn anything. They're just going to learn stuff and then believe it down the road. And then people down the road are going to be like, oh, yeah, this is wrong. And they're going to be like, well, I learned it from AI. So, anyway, that. And then, like, I see it a lot in both of my jobs. Like, my other job is phone calls, really. So like I see a lot of businesses like using it for phone calls, and I'm just like,
Mm,
I always
mhm.
get weirded out whenever I get one of those calls. Like I'm at work, I'm like, I don't say anything. So like, I just always get like weirded out. But like, yeah, it's definitely like becoming a lot more of a thing now, and like, it's not my favorite thing to see. Like the consent thing is like kind of like bugs me a little bit because it's like, oh, like you're just taking stuff and using it when we're like not giving you the consent to do it. Like you're just using stuff that we maybe you're like misinterpreting what we're saying and then pinning it back to us when it wasn't exactly what we said.
Right.
So yeah.
Wow. Grace, I'm really grateful that you brought this conversation to us. My highlight a couple weeks back was about people moving to Claude, away from ChatGPT because of OpenAI's partnership with the U.S. government, the Department of what I call the Department of Defense, others call the Department of War. And I knew that like bringing that highlight, like we're in different places, and every now and then you'll hear me say things like Claude is the Delta Airlines of agentic AI. And I do think that. You're right, Grace. I have a lot of opinions about AI. And part of it is I work with AI on a daily basis, and I am in conversations on a regular basis, not daily, but rarely do I get through a week without having at least 2 conversations about the theological, ethical, and communal implications of artificial intelligence and all the intelligences. And one of my difficulties in the conversation is because I am doing so many deep dives and I have this bent towards accuracy. Like somebody says, like, I'm not using AI at all. And I'm like, you live in 2026. Like, you don't, there are choices that have been made for you, which we should have problems with. We should totally have problems with. But there are choices that have been made for you. So the idea that you can say confidently, I don't use AI, is just not true. And also, like, I need to hold space for the fact that people are experiencing these new technologies, and they're experiencing them in ways that I don't. And so let me be clear about a couple of things, and then I'm gonna put a question towards you in a second here. But one of the things that I actually am very clear and adamant about is the use of other people's work in these large language models. And so I am actually all about Grammarly having legal trouble. I'm all about every AI organization, every large language model, every agent being put to task. We need standards, we need guidelines, we need accountability. I will never use AI to generate an image. I don't use it for that. I go to my graphic designers and artists for images. Like that's what that is for. I actually use AI to cut down on some admin work and things that take me a long time because of the way my brain is wired, because I get lost in details. But oh my gosh, like I have every issue with using someone's work. I have every issue with someone just using someone's work without like naming them on Facebook. Like photo cred all day, okay? Like hat tip, it was this person's quote. Like, so even then, I think we have to keep having this conversation. And I think it's a hard conversation to have on a number of levels, but I think we have to still lean into it. And so I actually hope that we'll have this conversation again at Studio Wesley Live. And I hope that it comes up again in a different space. So here is my question, Grace. And you can reject the premise of my question, but I'm curious, is there a moment, you've named one that's more personal, was there a moment or a use of AI that you're like, I gotta at least be like, okay, I see you. All right. That feels legitimate. Like, do you have that for like in this conversation, or is it all like it all stinks, guys?
I mean, at this point, I think it all stinks.
Mhm.
At least like there are some AIs. Like I love my TikTok algorithm. I don't love the fact that I'm still on TikTok because that's a monster in itself. Um, a lot of my friends have left TikTok, and I ought to as well.
Mhm.
But I love my TikTok algorithm. I'm so grateful. It has not been as on it recently, and that's part of the TikTok conversation. But like, I do appreciate a good algorithm. I think in terms of like the current AIs that we're discussing, I don't. I can't see a good one.
Mhm.
I and I'll let this kind of be like a wrap up story as well. I'm in my third year at Candler School of Theology. Um, Supposed to be graduating in April, May. We'll see. We'll see. God willing, inshallah, I graduate.
Mhm.
But I am in my history of Christianity class for our final project. We had to choose like one of like 5 prompts, plug them into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to answer the question, and then we graded ChatGPT's work.
Mhm.
And what it taught us was that sometimes it's accurate, a lot of times it comes to its own conclusions.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's like, oh well, if Origin said this thing and this thing, then he must have also said this thing. Or like Origin said this thing about this topic, so he said this specific thing about this, but no, he didn't. And so there's a lot of generalization that happens.
Mhm.
Granted, that like there's a way in the system to keep ChatGPT from like thinking. That's
Yeah.
what they call it, thinking.
Mhm.
And I mean, even us, like we were working with a system, or we were in the process of working with a system here at Studio Wesley that we could have used AI for some things, and it would have helped us kind of like consolidate. It would have helped us sort out just some like fun little algorithmy type things.
Mhm.
And I was considering it. I was thinking about it because I was like, okay, well, it wouldn't have done the thinking the way that other systems do. You know, like there could have been some positives to it. But to me, I can't think of any positives that will outweigh the negatives
Mhm.
of AI for me. And I guess that's a good kind of wrap up too, is like who benefits and who
Mhm.
loses, and
Mhm.
what are the benefits and what are the losses. Because even if AI was wonderful, phenomenal, helpful, the environmental impacts are detrimental, and I can't get onto that.
So many things we could say. So many. Grace, thank you for bringing this beautiful word from the world. We are going to now take our soul break and come back in a moment. It's been a really, really great episode, friends. And as we're ending tonight, I'm just thinking about the Old Testament text for this week's lectionary. It's 1 Samuel chapter 16. It's a story of David being anointed king over Israel. It's a big, big story. There's all kinds of things leading up to it, things happening underneath it. When you're a biblical nerd like me, you're thinking about all these different layers of historicity. And yeah, it's a whole thing. But one of the things I always appreciated about this story, very quickly, it's the story where Samuel has been instructed by God to anoint the new king. Apparently, the new king is a son of Jesse. And so, hey, Samuel, go and visit Jesse. You're going to anoint the new king from among his sons. And Samuel sees all the sons at this sort of party that they're having for him. And none of the sons seem to be it. It's because the one that God has chosen is the one not in the room. The one not in the room, his name is David. He is the one that God has chosen to be the king. And I love this story because it just reminds me of something that God is paying attention to us. And I just want to name, like, that's a really important thing for me. Um, even like think about just the ways that like the world's technology keeps moving forward. It doesn't like always ask us if we want it. But even in, even closer to home, right? Like the way that sometimes our families make decisions, as if we're not, our opinions don't matter, the ways that the spaces that we're working in, spaces that we're learning in, sort of make decisions outside of us. And I just want to name that in the midst of all of these forces, um, our belief, and I say our, I mean my, but a lot of people in the stream of Christianity agree with me. God is paying attention. God sees us. And I say that to all of us tonight across Studio Wesley and beyond. To the degree that you feel unseen, unheard, not believed, not included, our belief is that there's a God in heaven that's thinking about you and looking for ways to include you in beautiful ways. And I wonder what it means to just hold on to that this week, to hold on to a hope, to a possibility that God is paying attention and looking for ways to include us, even when others exclude us. It is the belief that I'm holding on this week, and I hope that you'll hold on to it as well. And so with that, friends, it has been a great, great episode of Studio Wesley Live. Grace, Neil, Taylor, thanks so much for all that you brought to the table tonight. Friends, thanks for joining us. Or if you're watching later in the week, thanks for doing that as well. We'll be back next week, 6 p.m. for Studio Wesley Live. Again, remember, you are deeply loved by God. Nothing can ever separate you from God's love. All right, friends, be well. Have a great week. We'll see you.